Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and of course we are joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen. Now we have breaking news, as half of the daily global silver production was dumped in minutes. So John, can you go into this story? This is insane.
Well, we're living in very interesting times, first of all. And what happened was that somebody decided to just dump 23,000 silver contracts, ETF contracts, down, and it's worth it's actually 150 million ounces of silver, which the global daily silver supply is 2.4 million. So it's basically like the whole global silver supply per day was dumped in an instant, in minutes, basically, onto the exchange. Now, silver and gold has been on a rampant rise again after it was just getting attacked. Remember, we were talking about with Rob Kirby about how especially the gold price, well, both of them were attacked. Like it went skyrocketing after Trump was elected, and then.
Well, we saw like this artificial number going back to 2012 where it's an artificial bear market while it's really a bull market, and we saw how Deutsche Bank got caught red-handed manipulating the price. We saw the same thing with Scotia Bank, HSBC, Bank of America, and all these huge banks, and of course the Exchange Stabilization Fund. But this is a bit of a different story, so can you go a little bit further into what is going on?
Well, what is happening right now? People are very leery about what's going to happen on the 15th of March, of course, when, of course, Mr. Obama, he gave Donald Trump a little bit of a present, which you have many of, where, he suspended the debt ceiling. Like, basically, they could just spend and get into as much debt as possible until they have to set a new debt ceiling. But he extended it until March 15th, 2017. So what we're seeing now is high volatility in the markets. People are really scared about what's going to happen with the United States. I think we're going to see a complete kerfuffle. Like, remember what happened in, I think it was 2013 when they shut down. They hired armed guards that cost more than the operations of the national parks.
All facade.
To just say like, oh yeah, we're going to enforce like closing the government. Well, if you close the government, there's going to be nobody there, right?
Yeah, no one enforcing. And please do close the government. Yeah, but they were guarding parks and stopping veterans from looking at war memorials. It was insane.
Yeah, it was insane, and we're getting there. We're getting there. It's going to happen again. So what we're seeing right now is also another move where inflation apparently is really starting to ramp up slowly, like not in a huge way or anything, but it's starting to move slowly up because people sold so much debt, like the United States bonds that they've been selling off. China, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and a whole bunch of major holders have been selling them off because they are printing so much money and getting into so much debt. It's such a massive debt bubble. And trying to, force people to stay away from the gold and silver by keeping the price down is, of course, what these guys are doing, the big banks. I'm pretty sure the big banks are all over this. Either if it was a coordinated attack, it looks like it was just one single entity. It's not mentioned in the Zero Hedge article, actually, who dumped the silver. But just looking at what's going on right now with the silver price and so on, like how volatile it is, and it always tries to go up quite a bit and then it get knocked down, but not just in a slow way, like it's just like a avalanche coming down every time.
It's not incremental. No, it just falls. And what is kind of also crazy about this is how it can affect silver in the long run. Now, we've talked a lot about how great silver and gold is, especially silver, considering the silver-gold ratio that we've talked about in the past. What will be the long-term effects of this?
Well, the long-term effects for any precious metals compared to fiat currency is, of course, if you're ever going to revalue it to gold standard, right, you have to take into account how much money you printed. So now you'd be looking at, how much is your M3, let's say that they're going to, back it 20%. Like this is, I don't believe in this at all, like the whole gold backing with fiat, of course. But if they were to do it, they were to do it, they could, say, okay, we're going to use 20% of the M3 and then back all the gold that the United States has. They said that they had it. Some people say that it's all gone. which, you know, I believe more to the latter.
Yeah.
Like, that it's all gone, then they have anything ever talked about, you know, Krugman's little minions in Fort Knox and so on. But what we're going to see is a sudden massive spike at one point when things are going to start to unravel. This whole debt bubble that has been created all around the world, like there's massive amounts of debt, not just, federal debt, there's student loan, like there's private debt everywhere. People are not able to afford things anymore, so they have, because of inflation is higher and hidden, people are getting into more debt, and of course taxation is increasing as well because governments are getting bigger and bigger. So
all while businesses aren't able to keep up with the inflation because, well, the markets are manipulated to the extent where businesses can't afford to pay people more without pushing a bunch of people onto the street into unemployment.
Yeah, no, the markets are like, I get so frustrated with people that talk about free market economists. Like I was reading Curse of Cash currently with Kenneth Rogoff, one of the big criminals of today, that pushing
Why do you do that to
cashless
yourself?
societies. Well, I have to, because I have to explain to people what's going to happen, because he lays it out, their whole plan. It's right there, right?
Know your enemy.
Yeah, but the thing is, these economists, they all believe that, we could just print and print and print and print money, and then hopefully we could keep the people's belief, because that's what it all comes down to, and he talks about it in his book as well. We gotta make sure that we make people believe that our currency has value, because if we don't, it's game over. That's how easy it is with the system. You just need to stop believing in like this fake paper currency that gets enforced on you, and move towards safer havens, other assets that provides an insurance when the actual currency itself that has been so overblown with printing of debt. But of course that inflation has not really hit as bad as it
will.
Could
it
have.
will, though.
But yeah, eventually, right?
Always will.
And of course, they're terrified of having any form of deflation, which we are currently in most countries, Western countries, with these the demographic cliff happening. So, like, they're really fighting an uphill battle. So we have deflation as it's like the two tectonic plates just like meeting, like, and you're building pressure, and then suddenly either the deflation or the the inflation will end up in an avalanche, the market crash, like a collapse, debt crash, whatever you want to call it, and then one of the forces will win. And that's, at that point, you either get deflation, which I think is highly unlikely. Well, you might have that first shock ending up in deflation, but then you're going to get another shock, another build-up, and you're going to have a hyperinflation because the bankers, they have to print money in order to save the governments from going bankrupt.
Yeah, all fiat currency always reverts to its natural value of zero, always has, always will, and the free market solution is the best one here. So let's say we need a debt jubilee, we need to be able to rebuild at a free market level. We need it to crash eventually, because that's the thing. We put it off so long, and it needs to crash, because the further we put it off, the worse it's going to be.
Well, the problem is we built such a great civilization. That's the problem, like with all the things that have come out of the civilization. So people are very, very afraid of having that damaged, that civilization, because it was built upon debt, a lot of it.
Well, you can build it 10 times faster and 100 times better without it. So, I mean, in the long run, it crashes, we rebuild, and we end up with a much greater society, free for all individuals.
That's the problem. They believe that the government, just spend money with their, like, going into deficits and debt, of course. Like, a deficit is basically getting into debt. So when they run these deficits, they believe that the government, as they spend money, they actually make money at some point. And it's stupid. Like, it's completely idiotic thought that the government is gonna create wealth for anybody. What they are doing is they're creating people that are dependent on them. Look at the United States and everywhere else. People are losing really trust in the government, or they're becoming the opposite, where they just love the government because they're giving them so much free stuff. So now they're addicted to government. Basically, it's like an addiction. You get addicted to free money. And you can't, when you get that withdrawal suddenly, when you find out that the government is not sustaining this at all, you will get this massive withdrawal, and the whole government system and the currency system collapses in on itself. Like, that's always what happens. You have the great, of course, currency system that built all of this, like massive government over time, and then it collapses in on itself with the currency, because the currency is the power to tax and to steal from people.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good way to close it off, I think. So thanks for bringing this information to us, John, and we'll be back at you with much more. Check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated. And, of course, check our Bitcoin address under the video as well, and we will put it on the screen for you to scan if you want. So thanks again, John, and we'll be back at you with much more. This is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.